Hey guys, welcome back for another video. So today we're going to be talking about stud finders. So a stud finder is a super basic tool. Pretty much any DIYer is going to have one in their toolbox. If you don't, you probably should have one, and this video might come in handy for you. So stud finders have a lot of uses. Obviously the primary use is to find a stud in the wall. So anytime you're hanging things, I mean even basic stuff like heavy pictures or shelves or cabinets, anytime you need to get make sure you get a screw into the stud and not just in drywall, stud finder makes things a lot easier. You can do the kind of tap 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 method and kind of generally locate a stud that way, but this is really the most accurate way to do it. So there's a few different types of stud finders, and like a lot of people, I have acquired a few over the years, and I've probably lost and broke more than this too. But I just wanted to kind of go over some of the basic ones and kind of give my opinion on what the one that I think is actually the best. So these two here are both made by Zircon. I think Zircon is probably the leader in the stud finder industry. If you go to the big box stores, this is generally what you're going to find on the shelves. So the first one I'm going to show you is just your basic stud finder. This one doesn't have any fancy features. If you're not familiar with how these work, basically you put it against the wall, you press the button, it calibrates itself, and then you run along the wall to locate the stud. And basically this one just provides it gives a light and a beep when it senses a stud in the wall. But the thing about these is basically the way to use this and to really locate a stud, you almost need to have a pencil or something to mark the stud. So you go across the wall, you put a little mark when it first starts to go off, it continues to beep, you put another little mark, and then you know exactly what the stud is. I'll show you that here in a second. Mark the wall, and then mark your other stud. So as you can see, it works, it finds the stud, but really to specifically identify it, you really need to mark on the wall or kind of hold your hand there or whatever. And if you're looking for multiple studs, it's just not the greatest option. The second option I'm going to show you is this one has a few more features. It's got a deep stud scanning tool, like if you have plaster walls or something that's thicker. This one also has a feature for metal scanning, like if you have metal studs, which aren't very common unless you're in a commercial building, or I suppose in theory it could find maybe conduit or pipe in a wall. And then it also has an AC scan on here to find electrical. And when I got this, I thought, well, that'd be cool to be able to find wires in the wall. It sort of does. It picks up the electricity, but it's not very specific as far as the actual location of it. So it's not something you can really rely on to find electricity. So this one is this one actually senses the stud, senses both sides of the stud, and then kind of centers it and tells you where the center supposedly is. These work pretty well. But sometimes I find that I don't always necessarily trust that it's telling me exactly where the center of the stud is. I don't know, not my favorite. I'll say that now that I've got the new one that I'm using. You can see it shows you the center. And you have to trust that it actually found the center. My new favorite stud finder it's made by Franklin, and I think this is called this is the ProSensor. And Franklin makes a couple different models of this. I will leave a link down below to this one if you want to check it out. So I'll show you here in a second why I like this one so much. It's got a couple extra features too. It's got a ruler on the top, which probably will never use. It does have a level too, which actually I used this the other day. I was installing a toilet paper holder actually, and I had this there, and you know what? I had a level in my hand, and so I was able to get it on the wall correctly. So it actually came in handy, and I actually found a use for that. So. But the thing that I like most about this, and I'll demonstrate this one as well, is you can see that it's got a bunch of lights here. And as you move across the wall, it just lights up wherever the studs are. So there's a couple different times that this is very handy. So For one, it's just quick. You know exactly where the stud is. You're not having to mark the wall, you know, the edges. You're not having to trust this. Is it really finding the center for you? This just lights up and shows you where the stud is. The reason I really like this is, for one, I used it a bunch lately because I just got done installing, probably a couple hundred feet of base molding trim in this house. And when you're nailing on trim, you can just run this right along the wall, have the nail gun right behind it, and just bang, 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 go right down the wall. And it's super fast to find studs if you're putting up trim. The other thing that I like is it's not uncommon if you get in a situation where you've got multiple studs that are close together. And not all the time do you have your, you know, just 16-inch spacing of studs in the house. You typically do. But if you get in close to, you know, a transition, a door jamb, another wall, maybe there's another wall coming in, you know, forming a T or kind of coming in perpendicular to the wall, you'll get sometimes some kind of, you know, weird stud arrangements behind that wall, and you can't see them obviously. And if you're trying to hang something, with these, it's a little bit hard to decipher what's going on. Then you're going back and tap and tap and tap and trying to figure out where the studs are. With this thing, it just shows you exactly where they're at. And I'll show you here in a second an application, or not an application, but basically a situation where we've got multiple studs that are close together, and this just points out exactly where they're at. Stud, stud, stud. Now, I don't know how well you can see. I'm going to turn this light off so you can see the LEDs better. But so in this application, I'll back the camera up just a little bit for you. So you can see we just move right along the wall. You can see that right there's a stud. You come over, it's probably 16 inches, maybe a little more. So there's another stud. And this is one of those times when you can get a little bit confused, and this is close to a door, so you wouldn't probably be hanging something here. Although you could. You may have a situation where, you know, maybe you're in a bathroom or something, you're near a door and you're trying to hang a cabinet. So this is where this is really helpful, because you know that there's a stud there. But then look, right there, just a few inches apart, there's another one. And then right here next to the door, there's actually a double stud. So this is where, with a standard stud finder, hopefully you can see that above my fingers, with a standard stud finder, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on inside the wall there, but with the Franklin, you know exactly where those things are. All right, guys, so again, stud finder, super simple tool. I mean, it's one of those things that, you know, for a few bucks, it's really, everybody should have one. If you're gonna spend a couple of dollars, spend a couple extra, get the Franklin, in my opinion. This thing works great. I've used a million different stud finders, and this is by far my favorite. It does cost a couple of dollars extra, but I think for what you get, it definitely is, you know, it's well worth the money. So I'd highly recommend it. I'll leave a link below if you wanna check it out. Appreciate you guys watching the video. If you found that helpful, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next video.